10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And live, once again, the Competition Plus Power Hour on the CompetitionPlus.com platforms. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the share button, and we want you in that comment section. I'm Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer, and my co-host next to me here on the screen, Slammin' Sam. Well, let's start with this, Sam. You were there at the famed mountain for the Mile High Nationals. So, from your perspective, it looked like a good one on mine watching TV, but from yours, what was it like?
Being very short in words, Lee, I'm going to say hot, 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 and it's still even hot. Everything there. I mean, if you've ever been to Bandimere, you know, you got to speak with Tammy. She wondered where you were, gave me a lot of crap all weekend from last weekend because I wasn't on the show with her. But to Sporty,
you have a lot better internet right now than you did last week. It was not working out well at all.
No, yeah. To Sporty, Tammy, and the whole crew. I mean, what they're doing there at Bandimere is next to none. Amazing facility, amazing atmosphere. Just being in Denver, Colorado is amazing within itself. So great to see, great to be around. And Lee, honestly, I'm excited about what this Western Swing has in store for everyone. A lot of things that we don't expect happen on the Western Swing. Cars that we don't expect to find horsepower, find anything. They find a way to do it. Of course, we have our upsets. I mean, you know, if you would have asked, I guess, any one of us, did we expect this from Leah here this weekend? Probably not, but she does perform well in Denver a lot. I mean, you know, especially being the home of Dodge. So, I mean, in all, a great weekend for drag racing.
I think it was a great weekend for drag racing overall, in particular NHRA. I think there was a good national event, one that solidly kicked off the Western Swing. And it seems like right now the Mile High Nationals have become the upset Nationals. We go back to last year, I think, of Joey Haas, who I was able to interact a little bit with this past weekend at Nitro Chaos at Mocan Dragway. He was wrenching on his dad's funny car, the American Way funny car that Joe Haas drives. But yeah, Joey was able to go all the way to the final round of that Terry Totten Top Fuel Dragster and eventually lost to Steve Torrance. Steve Torrance this year makes a early exit out round one, and we have Leah and Sean in the final round. Two teams that may very well be peaking at the right time, and we're definitely wondering if we're going to see more out of them on the Western Swing. Sean Langdon, though, everyone wants to talk about Coletta and Doug, but he is leading the way for that Coletta gang, and arguably no better driver out there actually behind the wheel in Top Fuel when it comes to driver skill, and he can certainly get the job done, and the car is starting to be there for him. And if they continue this rise, no telling how they might shape up in the countdown scenario.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got the chance to talk with Steve here this weekend with everything that's going on and a lot of the things that have been said. And, you know, if you've ever walked into that pit or ever had Steve right there with you to talk about things, I mean, he's going to shoot it to you straight. And for a lack of, you know, better terms, I think we've all kind of poked the bear. Everyone has seen that and what's happened with Steve. But there's some stuff coming, and that's all I'm going to say. I mean, I made a bold prediction video that we may air tonight or may air at a different time, but you know, there's a lot of stuff being worked on, and you know, he said some stuff that I'm, you know, in talking that I'm not going to throw out there. But if we're really going to talk about what's going on here at the racetrack and what performance is doing, look where he's sitting in points, and you know, there was a statement made through the weekend that we can point the finger at one driver or another team or another crew, but let's look at where top fuel is, since we're talking about that, in a hole. You know what I mean? Like, let's look and see where everyone's sitting. I mean, if you're going to point the finger at one thing, you got to ask a question about another thing, right? So I just think with that situation there, Steve Torrance, they're working on things. I mean, they openly have admitted it. He's admitted it a million times. We're working on a new combination. We're working on things. Don't forget about what I've done in my past, but we're working on things. We're changing some things up. When you want to go down the pits, we can talk about Erica Enders and Pro Stock. I mean, going out early, no one expected that. But I mean, the mountain is so tricky. And if you can figure out how to figure out the mountain, then you've obviously accomplished something. I mean, that's a big accomplishment. People say you can't burn the tires off at the starting line because of the cooling system down there in Bandimere. It happened this weekend. It happened. So the variables will always change, and that's the great thing about drag racing, and that's why we love it.
Right, and again, continuing the theme that we might have the upset nationals developing there. Matt Hagan goes down to Jack Wyatt, who we'll have later on in the show this very evening. And, you have, I don't count him as an underdog, but Matt Hartford finally shines through. He's someone that you shouldn't count out. Definitely has had horsepower in the past, can go out there and drive. We'll have him later on the show as well, but he goes and nabs the win from the Mile High Nationals in a time right now where so many are expecting it to be a continued domination from Erica, but Elite was still represented well in the final round. So no shock there, and definitely no cause for alarm, but an interesting Western swing start to it at the Mile High Nationals. And Robert Height has started very well to keep the word of, hey, sweep the swing. You got to win the first one to do it, and they get the job done. And again, establishes again that there are some serious players. There's players in Funny Car, but there are some serious players. And the top one right now very well might have to be considered Robert Height in that John Force Racing camp.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Robert, I mean, that whole team has put on a show, right? I mean, they put on a show here this weekend. When you talk about the upset there, I mean, I'm standing at the starting line when that happened, and you sit there and you're like, that just happened. That happened. I mean, I don't want to say unreal, because just like Alan Reinhart said, and I'm going to quote him verbatim, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. That's why we race up here at the mountain, is because once you stage that car, anything can happen. I mean, once that, the crew chief walks away from the car and you have your tune-up in the car and everything's ready to go, I mean, it's up to that moment. I mean, there was a moment in time where it was raining and then the sun was out and it was cool, and then 2 seconds later the clouds roll over that mountain and there's no sun, and then 10 minutes later it's blistering. It feels like it's 90 something degrees because there's no nothing. It's rained, it's been cloudy, it's been sunny, and now it's just extremely hot. So when you line up that car and you say this is a tune-up, we're in it, right before you do that, let's just say there's a 2-minute span before you actually fire that car, clouds could roll over and change everything in an instant. So I like it. Most people have seen the clip, I'm guessing, of Tony going for a ride. I mean, we always talk about wheels up, but I think he wanted to catch an early flight home or something Saturday, because boy, did he I don't know what he was thinking, but I went over to his pit Sunday morning and I said, hey man, the game plan today is to keep those wheels down, right? He goes, man, look, and he had a picture of it. And he says that, him and I are the same height. And he says that thing has to be up to our shoulders. And you can see the butterflies. He whacked the butterflies and that thing went up and he let off. And I don't think the car knew really. It was like, we're still going for it. Like, let's just keep climbing this hill early. And I mean, that mountain is tricky, man. I mean, all the drivers that get behind the wheel up there, you're ready for a ride. You're locked in, and you're ready.
So Lauren Murphy asks, do you think Austin Prock could win during the NHRA Western Swing this year in NHRA Top Fuel Dragster?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I think short
Yes.
answer, yes, because the potential there in Top Fuel right now, with even part-time teams that are capable of showing up and winning, and the full-time teams that are capable of winning, and that is definitely one of those teams. They just got to have the right day to make all the way to the final and get a win.
No, it's not that. You have to look, Lee, and I actually got the chance to hang out with Austin Prock and Ron here this weekend quite a bit too, and it's like you said, it's peaking at the right time, but it's also just look at the ladder, look at the way things are set up. You know what I mean? If we take Denver out of this, right? These same teams that are running good right now are maybe a little bit struggling. These same combinations that they're running now, I mean, yes, the car is detuned. Yes, you're blowing the supercharger, faster. But Austin Prock and that whole team, when you go into their pits, there's this energy, there's this vibe that's going on. Everyone's firing on the same cylinder. And it's the same thing that we've said about Leah's team, and we're going to talk about that. But when you walk down these pits, there's certain teams right now, and you can see it, that everyone's firing on that same cylinder. Everyone's firing on that same motivation. Leah's team has been firing on that and fighting for that for weeks now. Austin's team, they're right now, in my eyes, seeing them gel together and click together from when they're leaving the hotel to when they're getting to the track. Everything is lining up. And I think this year is just that year where it's going to take, you're going to have to build to that win. You're just not going to get the win. It's just not going to happen. So when these teams start clicking and gelling together is when it really happens. And this Western Swing, I can tell you, those guys are spending a lot of time together. They're talking, they're communicating, and this is when it really shows and really counts.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by Leah Pruitt getting the win. We had Dickie Venables on, and we were able to get good perspective from him. That team was cobbling things together, and it was building a new program opposed to something with Matt Hagan where it was a wholesale shift over underneath the TSR umbrella. So they needed time, and they've been working on it, and they've been chipping away at it. And we saw glimpses of it in testing that they were going to have performance, and everything came together here at the Mile High National. So I'm not shocked that in a class where the competition is so tight, even though we've had a couple of drivers nab numerous wins across the whole field, it is just hard to climb that mountain of competition and win often and regularly. And the Austin Prock team is definitely one. They're going to have a win this year. I'm sure they're going to have a win this year. Just like Steve Torrance, they're going to have a win this year. And it's not even just a matter of a win. I'm sure it's going to be multiple wins before long, and they turn the wick up. And I don't think we're done seeing new winners to this year. I imagine Sean Langdon and company will get a win. I wouldn't shock me toward the end of the year that Doug Coletta and that crew, something is figured out. And we have multiple winners this year in Top Fuel, and even surprise winners. But Sam, it's no surprise that we have Bobby Bennett as our insider, and we are going to bring him on in just a moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, later on the show, Matt Hartford, winner at the Mile High Nationals, and also Jack Wyatt. We're going to have him on the feel-good story from the Mile High Nationals, upsetting some of the biggest names in the sport and making a semifinal round appearance. So, without any further ado, we're going to bring on Mr. Bennett, chat with him, and see what inside information he has got for us. Bobby.
Hey, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, I guess we haven't learned that it doesn't matter what we do in regular season. It's when we come alive during those last races, those last 6 races that count the most. So maybe they're playing some rope-a-dope on us. Maybe they're just kind of jingling the chain there. So
My mouth's sealed. I'm gonna drink more water.
Hey, all I know is Tom Brady came in as the number 6 seed in the playoffs, and Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl. So there you go. There you go. Okay, you been watching the rumor mill today?
I have not been watching the rumor mill. I haven't got over there. So what is across the FTI rumor mill ticker?
Well, the word is that a certain bachelorette contestant will be hooking up with the Top Fuel dragster, which could debut as early as the U.S. Nationals. And the real key here's the guessing game. Reportedly, and I'm not at liberty to say who it is, this tuner is an ex, or not an ex, because you never become an ex champion. Well, he's a former Nitro champion that also has a drag racing milestone in tuning under his belt. So shouldn't be hard to figure that one out.
Interesting. Interesting.
They haven't hit the track yet, but they've been buying a lot of parts from what we hear.
All right, buying the parts, getting ready. Is this supposedly independent team, or is there some connection with Schumacher? Because he did hop in Schumacher's ride at testing.
Well, I was corrected when we ran that article with Richard Freeman, where Richard Freeman says, Don likes to fish and play golf and everything. I was reminded that Don Schumacher Racing is still very much in the fuel business.
Yes.
So it may not be a car under the canopy, a DSR, but don't be surprised if that's where they get their parts from.
All right, yeah.
They still service a lot of teams out there.
Yes.
And how about the rule change? How about the rule the rule change for they gave a rule change in Pro Mod on July 1st, and I guess it was like July 7th or 8th, or no, it was like 14th or 13th, whatever. But before the cars even hit the track, the rule change was rescinded for the Roots blower cars. And
Stevie, are you talking about the Stevie Fast?
Yeah, Stevie Fast said, "Dang, I went in to test for the rule change, and before my session was over, the rules changed again." Oh my goodness. But that's some serious stuff right there. So
the ever moving target.
yeah, there you go. Shoot it over here. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever seen those gag bicycles where you turn the steering wheel to the left and the front wheel turns right.
Yes, right.
That'd be cool. How about the three of us have a 3-way match race with those kinds of bicycles and see who wipes out first?
It might be simultaneously.
No, because I'm going to ride a wheelie all the way to the finish line on you. But right. Yeah, we've had some. We'll have a story on the Pro Modified thing we're expecting tomorrow, and I think we all can agree that John Force cast quite a shadow, right?
Sure.
So I'm talking to Brittany Force, and I'm asking her. I said, sometimes you got to get tired of living in your dad's shadow. Wouldn't you rather be Brittany Force and him be Brittany Force's dad? You know what I'm saying? Where I'm going with this? And she said, absolutely not. I have no problem being in the shadow of the greatest drag racer in the world. So I just thought that was interesting, because there became a time when Kyle Koretsky, we were calling him Kenny Koretsky's son, but when he started winning races, we looked at Kenny Koretsky and said, oh, it's Kyle Koretsky's dad. And that's the thing. And how about that coverage on the funny car, the Nitro Chaos?
Yeah, Darren did a great job. It was a good article, and it was good to see, because the world of drag racing definitely needs to be talking about what happened at MoCan. I think it was a special event, not just because I was there and saw it firsthand, but for drag racing, period. And I think people need to be on the outlook, because I think some floodgates might be open.
Oh yeah, definitely great series. Chris Graves, one of the best guys in the world. Love him. He used to be part of the competitionplus.com team as a photographer. We worked many races together, and I couldn't be any more proud than I am of him. That's what I got, guys.
That's what you got. All right, Bobby. Well, look, we'll definitely be on the outlook for some of those articles. Folks, read the article on competitionplus.com of the Nitro Chaos. And yeah, that pairing of driver and tuner. Yes, we'll be on the outlook for that.
Yeah.
I got one right here.
Go ahead.
I want to know from you guys, from the start of the season till now, if you had to pick a most improved driver, team, or team. We're just gonna call it a team instead of saying driver and team. Who would you say in each category would be the most improved at this point?
Wow. I'll let Lee take that one first.
I think at this point right now, most improved Top Fuel, it's hard not to go with Leah Pruitt. Where the struggles have been to getting a win, I think that's an easy one to take. I think in the world of funny car, I would go with it's challenging. Funny car may be the most challenging one because Ron is doing well, Height is doing well, and Matt Hagan is doing well, and it might be almost a slight to say Robert Height, but I think I have to go to Robert Height because they just didn't have a great year last year. And here they are with the numerous wins they already have and the dominating performance and clicking off 380s with ease, it seems. I also would, going into pro stock, I think it has to be an individual that we had on last week. I'll go with Mason. He's performing well. He's up there in the points. I know there hasn't been a standout moment such as a final round appearance or a win, but the consistency is there. And for you to build a program into the future in any shape, form, or fashion, you've got to have consistency, and he seems to have that. And I know her last name has changed, but in Pro Stock Motorcycle, it might be a heartfelt one, but I don't think I can go against Miss Salinas because she decided to even get back on a bike after what happened and what she has been through. So there's my choices.
Okay, Top Fuel, Brittany Force. She went from being the number one qualifier all the time and never winning the races to winning races now. And Robert Height, he stunk the place up something awful last year. So anything would have been an improvement over last year. So I have to agree with you on that. Let's see. Pro Stock, I have to say Erica Enders. I mean, she has been on fire this whole season. And you can still set the bar high and still improve. And she's always had a high bar for success, but I believe that she is definitely most improved for Pro Stock. As far as the bikes, I'd have to say Angie Smith. Angie Smith has come on strong. She's been a very strong contender. I mean, she's got a bike that's capable of winning, and she's definitely been tough in competition. What do you think, guys?
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know. I mean, the reason why I asked is because, walking around the pits this weekend, you can always sense, when you're standing there, when you first walk in, when you're saying hi to everybody, who really, really wants it and who knows they're there and has that chance to, like, we're here, we're going to compete. And, we already think we won the race. And just talking to some of the drivers this weekend, and I can go down the list. Josh Hart, speaking with him, walking into his pit, he's always so cool, calm, and collective. But you can tell, as they were going rounds and then the oil down happening, and you were kind of seeing like that crew already had their engine. I mean, the car torn apart and engine back together before the oil down and everything was complete. I don't know if NHRA TV showed that, but before that whole time period was completed, Josh Hart's team was pretty much ready to go. I mean, the blower was on. They were strapped down, ready to go before some teams even got back to their pits and making a run. I thought that was very interesting. Angie Smith, I was riding a bicycle all weekend. So I rode down the hill, which was fun going down the hill, but coming back up, it really was a workout. So I stay, with this figure, but, going over and speaking with them, it wasn't, she was just in that zone. She was happy to be there. They were ready to go. She was always the first one. I noticed that she was always the first one in the staging lanes, and you could see her practicing, letting the clutch loose and everything like that. You guys talked about the Salinas team. I mean, that team is just laser focused. I mean, if you're down near the pro stock, if you're up near the top fuel, everyone's ready to go. So, I mean, like I said, all these teams have to click and run on all 8 cylinders, just like the motor does. And you can feel that vibe when you're walking through. And I think that's what it makes this year so unpredictable and so, dynamic, is because everyone, has their moments, and you can tell when those teams are, from the time they get to the track to when they get home and they get done with their work, what they're doing, you can start seeing it. And it's coming true, like we'd say, on game day.
Got a couple of tidbits, and I'll let you guys move on with the show because I don't want to throw you off schedule. Reason why I didn't say Mike Salinas is because Mike Salinas ran very well last year. If we had the biggest shock, now I would say Mike Salinas. And if you read the article on Competition Plus today, competitionplus.com today, he will say if somebody would have came up to him at the beginning of the season and said, you'll be the points leader and the most dominant car in Top Fuel this year, you would have said what? He says, that would be a nice dream. So there you go. Hey, one other thing that just came across on my Insider, we've heard all the talk about the glue shortage and all that stuff. Apparently, that glue shortage will not affect the NHRA. Apparently, they buy their glue up in bulk at the beginning of the season, so they should be set for the rest of the season. Hopefully, this whole supply chain issue thing will work it out. Now, where you're going to have your problems is on the smaller series and the smaller local tracks. But NHRA, every year they always plan ahead and buy theirs in bulk. So
there we go.
That's good news for a change.
It is. Yes, it is. Especially with the supply chain issues.
Hey, guys, keep up the great work. Thank you for being a part of the CompetitionPlus.com team. Competition Plus TV, you're certainly an asset, and I certainly appreciate you.
Thank you, Bobby. Have a good night, man.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, look, Sam, it's about that time to bring on our first guest of the evening. We got Matt Hartford ready to go, and we'll chat with him and get the scoop on the Mile High Nationals from his perspective, which was a good. I'm sure he's got a great perspective. He won the thing. That's no better perspective to have. So we're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. This is all brought to you by Weldon High Performance, and that commercial now. Afterwards, the winner of Pro Stock from the Mile High National. Well, as Daddy John says, congrats to Matt Hartford and Sam. As I was thinking about before getting Matt on the show, like, where did the performance come from? And I know the secret. It's breathable piston rings. That is what got the job done.
Yeah, you got to have these things sealed up. When you get up on the mountain, you're already lacking horsepower. So, the mountain's an equalizer. everybody comes up there, and all of a sudden cars that are 300 or 400 ahead of you and hit sea level, are back in kind of within 100th of you. So Denver's probably one of the hardest races that we'll race all season long. And we were very fortunate to walk away with some hardware this weekend.
Definitely. Congratulations again, Matt. It seems like only a few hours ago we were eating cheese pizza off of a golf cart together, but I won't tell all your secrets to success. But looking at it round for round, you dealt with the heat, you dealt with the rain, you dealt with the oil downs and everything else that was thrown out to us on the mountain. For the people that have never been, I kind of want to switch it. I know about the wind, but describe what that track is like when you turn that corner and you roll down that hill.
Well, the number one thing that you have to have when you race at Bandimere is you have to have a wheel chalk, because you're going to be parked on a hill. So you got to get that wheel chalk out to hold your car. But man, when you come down that hill and you start looking, it is one of the most beautiful facilities in the country, in my opinion. And the Bandimere family and Larry and everybody that runs the facility, it's anybody would want to race there. And if unfortunately it's at altitude, so a lot of people don't want to go there because their cars don't run as quick as they would at sea level. But it is probably, in my opinion, one of my favorite facilities in the country.
Well, I want to know about whoever Eddie is. Happy birthday, Eddie, and Old Lives Matters. So how old is Eddie, and how grand of a birthday was it?
So Eddie Granaccia is my crew chief, and he's been my crew chief for a long time. Go all the way back to the late 80s, early 90s. He ran what was considered pro mod back in those days, all the way up through the early era before it was pro mod. And then he was the crew chief for Kenny Koretsky all the way through the 90s, 2000s. And, he's worked with Frank Iaconio. Matter of fact, he was Fernando's crew chief back in the 90s. Eddie's been around and had a lot of success. He won the 50th anniversary of the U.S. Nationals with Greg Stanfield. He was Jake Coughlin's crew chief. So Eddie Granaccia is my hero. He's part of our family. And he was 65 on Saturday, and we gave him a hell of a birthday present on Sunday.
There you go. Sam.
Sorry. It happened. Well, everybody, as the rules say, everybody take a drink, and I don't mind taking a drink of water.
All right, fine.
Yep. He's got the wine.
Oh,
yeah, he's doing.
You must have been hanging out with Ron Tobler or something here recently, drinking the wine already, huh?
Yeah, he's got a pretty good wine collection from what I hear. So, we'll have to sample it sometime.
I can honestly say for the first time I did, and wow, most of that stuff tastes like juice boxes. It goes down really good. But that's nor here nor there. So talking about it, like I said, talking about the weekend, we all endured the heat. We all endured, the rain, clouds. Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? For you guys, especially, that 1-2 shift, it comes up quick. But putting the correct tune-up in the car, or, adjusting the way you drove, how much did that play into, I guess, your game plan from Friday night to Saturday, and then from Saturday running late at night to early Sunday morning?
Well, Denver throws a lot of curves at you. So just if you figure at sea level, the 1-2 shift comes at about, you're pulling the lever somewhere, let's say 105, 1.1 into the run. In Denver, you're pulling the lever at, say anywhere between 0.8 and 0.9 seconds into the run. So that 1-2 comes quick, and the 2-3 actually comes quicker than the 1-2. So you got to be on your game for sure. And when you come from racing all these sea level tracks, you go to Denver, everybody up there, I'm pretty sure if you listen, anybody had a single for sure, you wear out the chip on the first run because you're not ready for it. It happens so fast. But, we didn't make a great run in Q1. We were really good in Q2. We were third for the session. Q3, we were number 1 for the session. And Q4, we went up there sitting in third place. And the weather was good enough to go up there and run 93 or 94, which would go to the pole. And to be honest with you, we made the call to try to knock the scoreboards down. And all we did was knock the tires off and went 97. So, we went up there extremely aggressive, and it didn't hold. but we knew where the edge was then going into Sunday, and you get to the first round of eliminations, and I mean, anybody that watches the race will say, that race I should have lost. I did everything I could to lose that race. The only thing that saved me is that Eddie and the team presented me with such a great car that we were able to run down Derek Kramer in the first round. You can't give somebody 46 thousandths on the tree and expect to win the round, especially first round. So I was lucky. My team saved me, and that's it's an eye opener. So you get through first round and you go back to your pits and you say, man, I got to do a better job or we're going home early.
Yeah, on the driving, started out 0:59, then like a 0:32, and then it's 0:12, and then 0:04 in the final round. And we've had other pro stock drivers, and in talking to them, they feel like it's the game right now where you have to consistently be 0:20 and down. Do you feel like that's where it is at with the competition level that's in pro stock right now, that you have to be held to that standard and keep it 20 and down?
So, I try to consider myself still one of the young pro stock racers out there. But when I look at everybody around me, I'm realize I'm actually one of the older ones now. But when I started racing pro stock back in the mid 2000s, kind of the rule of thumb was if you were 040 or better, you were on your game. You were someone to worry about. Honestly, and with who you're looking at now with Aaron Stanfield and Christian Quadra and Dallas Glenn, if you're not teens, if you're not better than 020, you're going home, and you're probably going to go home more times than not. And let me tell you, no one goes to the starting line thinking that you're going to go 40 or 50 on the tree. You go up there trying to be teens and 20s every time or better, and that's hard. And obviously Mason McGahey and Christian Quadra and Dallas Glenn, I mean, they're all in their early 20s, maybe even teens for Mason, I'm not sure, but they are so good on the tree that they're wearing the rest of us out. So, you got to be on your game when you race them.
So you just mentioned that, being on your game, and this has been a question for a while. So you have Aaron Stanfield that goes number 1. Erica Enders was number 2. You have pretty much, in a gist of it, out of the top 10, I want to say Elite had 6 out of the top 10 spots. When you're going and looking at that, and everyone's going to say it, they're a big team, they're sharing data, they're doing this, they're doing that. When you're going rounds, and in the later rounds, you start seeing them pair up against each other, you say, okay, is that one of the things people look at, is saying, okay, I got to go up against the Elite car now. I need to do this, I need to do that. Or how does that all work for you guys?
Well, I mean, obviously, everybody's seen what happened at Norwalk, and there was a little controversy of I took a little bit longer to stage maybe than I should have, according to some people. So there was a few members of the Elite team who weren't as happy with me. But when we looked at the ladder on Saturday night, if I won first round, and if Erica won, or let me back up. When we looked at the pairings on Saturday afternoon, if the pairings didn't change, I had to run Erica first round, which was going to be, I went up to Chase, one of the crew guys, and I said, hey, you guys got to move because we don't want to have any arguments first round. And, he started laughing, I started laughing. And then, she stepped right up to number 2. They got a fast team. They got a great team. But then the pairings looked like if she won first round and I won first round, it was going to be another second round pairing. And anybody that's followed pro stock this year will tell you that has not been successful for me. She's beat me every time that we've raced. But, Mason went up there, he did his job, and he took her out first round. I was able to get through first round. So, it turned into a McGahey versus the Total Seal car, and it ended up being a good race. But once you get through first round, it doesn't matter. Everybody's looking at, you've got probably the 8 best cars in the second round. Doesn't matter whose team they're from. Unfortunately, the KB camp had a rough week in Denver, but I'll tell you what, don't count them out. They're coming back to Sonoma with a vengeance. Those cars are fast. They didn't run good in Denver. It's one race. It's an anomaly, but they'll be back in Sonoma, and I think you'll see the Elite versus KB battle, right back at it.
Your program in particular, Matt, what are your alliances, or do you feel more like an independent pro stock team out there amidst these, ever-growing rent-a-car ride programs that are stacked with power. So what's the situation for you, and whose engines are you running, that type of thing?
So our alliance is with KB Racing, with Ken and Judy Black. They are, in my opinion, some of the two best people that you'll ever meet in your lifetime. They have the most integrity of any race organization that you could ever have. And obviously, those engines come out of the KB shop, which is headed up by Greg Anderson and his entire alliance in the shop. Outside of them rolling an engine over to us, like in Denver, we started with an engine that had been looked over. So basically a fresh engine in Denver. Outside of that rolling over on an engine stand and sitting underneath a cover in our pits, that's about all we see of them. There's really no shared information at all. Nothing to do with the tune-up, nothing to do with the, timing, fuel, nothing. Could we ask, or could they ask us? Absolutely. But neither team's going to give away a whole lot of information. All KB wants to know is that we're not going to tear up their engines. As long as we're maintaining the engines and we're not doing anything stupid with the tune-up, they're not going to say a word to us. Now, I did mention in the interview after the finals that we wouldn't have made the final round without some of their assistance. We had 22 minutes to service the car in between rounds. And all of the KB guys came over to assist us, meaning just pack parachutes, check the valve springs, check the lash, help get the car cooled down, get ice in the chiller. And that's all because there was 22 minutes. And if we would have had a problem, the more hands on deck you have, the better. So, the fact that we were able to get the car turned around, we probably could have done it without them, without any issues. But the thing was, we knew enough to ask for help. Hey, let's try to be a team. Let's pull together and make sure that a KB engine wins this race, and let's not make any mistakes. So our true alliance with them is nothing more than we write a check, they provide us with an engine. What we do with it is up to us.
And that's what, that's the cool thing about Pro Stock right now is that we're seeing is that we have these alliances. We have these team alliances that everyone's helping each other. Do you think that hurts the sport, or do you think that betters the sport in a whole? Because last year we had this conversation, Lee and I did, about the quote unquote super teams. And, everyone thinks that we should get away from them, and which I think we did in a little bit. But do you think this team system of, hey, I'm scratching your back, you're scratching my back. If I'm in need, you'll help me. And if you're in need, I'll come and help you.
Well, let's be clear. Let's just say that we were not in the finals and we were eliminated. And let's just say, hypothetically, Mason McGahey was in the finals and he was running Alan Brzezinski, whoever. Just pick two random cars. There's a lot of friendships in this industry, and there's a lot of people who along the way have helped you and you've helped them. If Pete Smallwood, the crew chief of Mason's car, would come over and say, hey, I need help. We're going to the finals. We're running XYZ car. Can you come help us? There's no one on our team that wouldn't go over and assist. Just like we have other teams in the past. Alan Brzezinski in Denver a few years ago was struggling to make the first round. I rolled to the lanes without my crew and sent my crew over to him to help him make sure he could make the round. There are teams that, you're going to help just because we're a lot of independent cars out there. We're not the super teams. Elite doesn't need help. They have more people on staff than any team out there. But when you look at what KB has, how many people they have per car, they barely have 2 people per car. And, they have a lot of people, but when you add, they have 3 or 4 cars out there, it takes a lot of effort to turn these cars in between rounds, especially if you have a problem. So, you're going to race on the starting line, but you never want to see somebody not make the round.
Well, Matt, again, congratulations on your win at the Mile High Nationals and conquering it, and what that means to people in Pro Stock and the effect that it has on the natural aspirated motors and all motors, but in particular, it seems like Pro Stock. Let me turn the conversation to business, because you're not just a racer, you're a businessman, and you own that company on the side of your race car, Total Seal. What is it like right now? Because all that we hear in the news lines, whether it's from traction compound to rods and pistons, is supply chain. I'm sure there has been more Google search for supply chain than there ever has been with as much as it's mentioned. So what is it like right now in the high performance marketplace and in the regular marketplace, because Total Seal makes piston rings well beyond just the performance applications?
How do I put this, PC? It's hell. Supply chain is an absolute disaster for anybody that's manufacturing parts right now. We've done a better job than some, but probably not as good as others in managing our supply chain. Where I feel that we're coming out of the crisis of where we were, say, 9 months or 12 months ago, but it's an ever evolving issue. There's not a day that goes by that we don't talk internally about what are we going to do with wire, because all of our rings are made from raw wire. So big spool, think of a big spool of flat wire, and then we coil it and then we machine every aspect of the ring from there. And then cast iron, all of our second rings are built out of cast iron or ductile iron. So we have to get raw materials, which has to be sourced, whether it's from the US or Brazil or Mexico or other countries, we still have to source raw irons, which is hard. And people ask our sales guys all the time, why is this a problem? It's not necessarily a problem for us to get the wire. It's a problem for the people who build the wire to get the raw ingredients for the wire, for the steel, whether it's molybdenum or silicon or nickel, chromium, whatever it is, the raw aspects of the irons or the steels that are coming out of the ground is where the supply chain issues are for the performance industry or manufacturing industry. Throw one more wrench into that, it isn't necessarily all supply chain. Is there anybody out there that wants to come work and run a CNC machine, 8 hours a day in an air-conditioned building and get vacation time and get a fair wage? Come on, I got openings. We can't get people to show up for interviews, let alone if they show up for interviews and we hire them, they don't show up for the first day of work. Whatever has went on in this country that everybody feels that they can stay home and not work anymore. And I don't know how they pay their bills. So everybody in the industry is struggling with that, whether it's a piston company, a ring company, a crank company, a rocker arm company, a manifold company, a block company. We're all looking for people and we're all looking for raw materials. And until that lightens up, the unfortunate part is, myself being a racer, I'm struggling to get parts for my own race car. Everybody's struggling to get parts for their race car or their street car or their air compressor or whatever they may be rebuilding, because there's a people problem and a supply chain problem.
All right. So where is Total Seal? How can people go apply and get a job there potentially?
Send an email to info@totalseal.com. My email is matth@totalseal.com. Send me an email. If you live in the Phoenix area, or you're coming to Phoenix and you want and you understand how to run CNC equipment, or you're a machine operator, or you're a quality control specialist, we've got openings. They're on Indeed right now. You can search it. We've got four different positions opening with multiple positions per slot available. And I'll tell you, it is amazing. Today we had, I think, 4 interviews scheduled. Two showed up today out of the 4. So people actually apply to come for an interview. They simply don't show up. That is a problem for every industry out there. And it's probably would be in your industry. If you needed to hire somebody right now, it'd still be a problem.
Hey,
Lee, you want to go on vacation for a couple months? I mean, I know it's hot. That might be a good winter job for me. I mean, come out there. So come out there, and that way I'm not in the snow.
116 right now. Come on, get out here.
No, I'm sitting here, and I don't even know what it is in San Diego, and I'm burning.
Yeah.
So no, but so I have a question though. So say I do come and apply, and I get the job, I make it to my interviews and everything like that. I show up for work. Does that mean I get to go racing with the race team also?
Absolutely not.
Is there a way to work that into the contract?
Nope.
All right. Well,
you want an honest answer, or you want some BS? I'm just going to tell you like it is.
Well, then, hey, I'm gonna have to take my blue pin here and put it back down in my backpack, I guess, for a while. So let me know when that changes.
There you go.
Well,
So
go ahead, Sam.
So since we're Lee, if you're talking about business, but explain to me the after the race meal for you. You know, most people go out for a nice steak dinner or, want a glass of wine when they get back, or maybe even a beer in the winter circle. But for you, it was a mildly cold slice of cheese pizza. What was that for?
Hey, it was awesome that you guys offered. That was our team had not eaten all day. Typically on race days, we don't eat. And if you look at our beginning of the season, that meant that we didn't start eating till about 1 p.m. So that's not been good. But this was, it was great because we didn't get to eat till like a piece of pizza till 6 o'clock or whatever time. It's 5:30, 6 o'clock. But at the end of the race, we're a small team. There's a total of myself, there's Eddie Granacci, Chris Ingleton, Adam Bastian, and my wife, Amber. Adam's my brother, Chris is my partner, and he's a brother to me, and Eddie's a brother to me, and we're a family. But we're the ones that also tear down. So when we got back, we had to service the car, tear everything down, put everything away, get the truck and trailer ready to hit the road. And then we drove to the airport. We'd all missed our flights, so we had to just get a hotel at the airport. And we got there at 9:30, 9:45. We ordered some cheeseburgers, had a beer or a cocktail and a glass of wine, and all went to bed. I mean, it was as uneventful as anything that you could imagine. And I guess some of the teams who have these huge crews that they can just go celebrate, that's great. That's not us. We're the worker bees.
Yeah, that's, winning is all great and good, but you tear down a whole lot later when you do. At least it does feel different. But, man, runner-up has got to feel that much worse when you think about it that way, that you didn't win and you're still there and you got to tear down.
Well, something, I say it almost every race, and I said it Sunday morning on the way to the racetrack. I said, if I can go to the Christmas tree 4 times today, regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a great day for us. And, we went to the Christmas tree 4 times, and fortunately, it was a great day for us. We got to take the hardware home. And, we're looking forward to going to Sonoma. And on that, let me throw some shout outs out here, because I think it's extremely important. Everybody that's watched Pro Stock for all these years remembers V Gaines Racing. V Gaines on Western Distributing, Western Trucking. He's an icon to the industry. Sunday night, my tractor and my tractor trailer had an issue. And so V had told us, bring it in first thing Monday morning, 5:55, have your driver here. I'll get it right in the shop so you guys can get on your way to Sonoma. Rolls in there, 6 a.m. It's in the shop. 9 o'clock, they call me and tell me that it's got either some sort of fuel problem or electrical problem. And the best it's going to be able to do is go to a different dealership and get some diagnostics done. And it's going to take probably close to a week before this truck can be on the road. Now, think about that. A week. Sonoma is this weekend. V did everything humanly possible, found one of his trucks that would hook up to my trailer, went almost to Aspen to get it last night, had it back at his shop this morning, serviced the truck, got it ready, hooked it up to our trailer, and sent my driver on the road this morning. No questions asked. He's like, nope, you're going to Sonoma. You got to go win that deal. Here's a truck. Get going. We'll get your truck fixed. By the time you get back from Seattle, your truck will be fixed. So I got to give a shout out to everybody at Western Distributing, Western Trucking, V Gaines. He's the man. The reason we're going to make it to Sonoma is because he helped us. And then Josh Hart from R&L, his driver's in my truck. So we're a hodgepodge we're a mess trying to get to these races right now.
Well, man, that is cool to hear, helping out, and it's going to work out, because, almost any other time, a week, that's fine, keep it, get it fixed, but not the Western Swing.
No. Well, think about it. On the back of our tractor is our generator and air compressor. So now we got a truck hooked up to my trailer with no power. So when we get to these races, Greg Anderson's already been kind enough to loan us a big long extension cord, and we can plug into his generator for these next 2 races. So not only are we bumming a truck, we're bumming a driver, we're going to have to bum power from somebody. So, I think if we can go over there and win, we're going to have people like they're going to stop helping us.
Yeah, when you mentioned, a truck that fits, I began thinking to myself, yeah, your rig is a little different from a lot of the rigs out there, because like you mentioned, on the back of your truck you have the equipment. Some of the other teams, it's situated different. These rigs are often more custom pieces than people realize.
They are, for sure. So it was a act of Congress to get a tractor that would actually hook up to our trucks or up to our trailer. But like I said, he said it, come hell or high water, that thing was going to Sonoma, not to worry about it. And he came through on it. So you don't know how much we're appreciative of what he did for us.
Well, man, I mean, you're looking at it right now. You've taken the first win in the Western Swing, and we've all talked about it. Don't know if you're a superstition guy, so you can say yes or no to that. No, you're not. Okay, so now we can talk about it. There we go. You've opened the floodgates. What is it going to take for you to continually go, 4 rounds, like you said, and put that car in the winner's circle and maybe sweep the Western Swing?
Honestly, I have so much faith in what our crew is going to, present to me for a car when I roll up to the starting line. The performance side of it, I'm confident that they're going to give me a car that can win. I don't feel that we're going to qualify in the pole. I think we can qualify in the top half. I think we can be, really competitive through qualifying. But there's so many good cars out there to say you're going to qualify number 1. There's too many good cars to say that. But if I can get my head in the game and keep some confidence sitting in that car and not make mistakes, I think we can run with any car out there in eliminations. And if I drive well, we've got every chance to go 4 rounds on Sunday in Sonoma. And, hopefully some luck goes our way, because you have to have luck. And we had some in Denver. So if we can keep some luck on our side, I drive well, our team doesn't make mistakes, we should win some rounds, hopefully win the race.
So, Matt, Total Seal is on the side of your car. That's your company. And that is great. That's great that the company is able to make a way for you to go racing, and you all are able to market yourselves and put that brand out on the track, and it even be a proving grounds for the product. I do want to ask, though, as a team, as you as an owner, are you open to other marketing partners taking that whole door? And what are some of the other marketing partners in your program? Because we can see some other vinyl and other colors on this beautiful hot rod.
Well, it's a great question, because in about, what's today? Today's Tuesday. So Thursday I will be in Sonoma, and I will be rewrapping the side of the car, and it will say Rottler on the side. Rottler is one of the premier manufacturers of machining equipment, in the world. So we're going to have Rottler as a partner for us, both in Sonoma and Seattle. We're doing a big open house with Rottler on Wednesday in Kent, Washington, which is right down the street from the track. Both myself and, our rig's going to be there with our car on display, wrapped as Rottler. Yes, sir. Right there it is. We're also going to have Greg Anderson's truck and trailer there, and Greg's car is going to be on display because he's got an associate deal with Rottler. And, Rottler's been a huge part of what we do at Total Seal for over a decade, going on 15 years now. Honing equipment and piston rings go hand in hand. So it's just been the relationship that we've had with that company goes so far back, and the partnership that we've had on the car with them has been years. Going back a few years ago in Seattle, we won the race with Rottler on the side of the car, and all the friends and family from Rottler were out there to see their car win. Typically you'll only see Total Seal on the side of the car. Sonoma and Seattle, you'll see Rottler. Hopefully in Dallas again this year, you'll see the hose connection like you have in years past. It takes a lot of effort and money and a lot of friendships to make our car run. And to be honest with you, we couldn't do it without each and every one of them on the side of the car. You look at the hood of the car, it says Rob's. That's as big a bold decal as anything on our car. Everybody notices it because the color doesn't match anything on the car. But, he's been there supporting us for so many years. And Jason Curry supported us with the trucking side of it for so many years. We've just got such great partners that, we try to do whatever we can when we can in their hometowns to support how they support us.
Cool deal.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I mean, it takes, we hear it when we're growing up. It takes a village to get, to raise a kid and to do anything. And just like in the motorsports world, it takes a village of who you know and, your connections. It's based off of really who as you go down this journey. So I'm excited for it, man. Hopefully, again on Sunday you can be eating some cheese pizza. Hopefully Lauren can find some pepperoni pizza for us this time instead of some cheese pizza. But I'm excited for it, and the Western Swing. Who knows? I mean, it's always it's fun. So
well,
I'm just looking for the best.
Yeah, Seattle is home to Rottler, but most the other thing it's almost most important, it's home to CIP1. They're out of Vancouver, Canada. Chris Ingleton's my partner on the car. He's been with me ever since I started essentially racing pro stock full time, or since 2013. He's been my partner on the car and partner in the truck and trailer. And they're based out of Vancouver, and they have locations in just north of Seattle and in Washington. So we're going to have such a full house when we get to Seattle. We're going to have all the CIP1 people going to be there. We're going to have all the Rottler people going to be there. I mean, it's going to be, we're doing our tech talks on Friday. We're doing our tech talks on Saturday. So, we're bringing in customers from all over the Northwest. The hardest part, or the best part, it's kind of synonymous, is going to be keeping focus in Seattle with so many things happening, and, probably close to 100 people being there in our pits and wanting to be around and see what's going on. So, right now our focus is to get through Sonoma. But once we get through Sonoma and we get to Seattle, let me tell you, if you guys were going to be there, you would see it's going to be a party in our pits, win, lose, or draw, because we're going to have so many fans, friends, family hanging out with us, and we're excited for it.
Yeah, CIP1.com. Just put that in, and I didn't know about it, but yeah, vintage Volkswagen and restoration, wheels, and performance. So some cool stuff right there if you've got a Volkswagen, for sure.
Yeah, if you're building a Volkswagen, I don't care where at in the world, they're the largest exporter of Volkswagen parts in the world. So you can build an entire VW Bug or van or all the different things that they've offered right out of their catalog. So if you want to build a new Bug, whether it's stock or high performance, all you got to do is click on their website, start clicking the keys, and you're probably going to have a credit card too. But at the end of the day, you can build an entire Bug out of their catalog.
Stellar. Well, Matt, again, congratulations on the Mile High Nationals win. We hope that there's many more wins ahead of you this season. And we've got to let you go here really soon. We've got to get
Perfect.
Jack Wyatt on because he's been waiting in the green room for a while. But again, congratulations, man.
Let me tell you, I was standing up there each of the runs that he made, and I was so happy for him to see him the first round there, against Hagen. I was actually on the plane with Hagen coming home, but to see Jack, get through that first round, and then I watched him on the second round. I was right behind his car, and I'm like, come on, man, don't make any mistakes. Just go up there and take the light and drive it down, because you're going to the semis, and you got as good a chance as anybody when you get there. And he put on a great race in the semis, and for a little guy like ourselves, because that's who we've been for so many years, and we still are. We always are rooting for people like him. So we were excited to see that he got to the semis, and I wish he could have closed the deal. That would have been great.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, guys.
Well, good to have Matt Hartford on talking about the win and beyond. It's always an interesting conversation with him because he's got so much more perspective than just driving, and I definitely like those perspectives. Sam, look, how about we take a look at the Denver recap put together by Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, and afterwards we're going to have Mr. Jack Wyatt on to talk about his good Mile High Nationals.
The highly anticipated Western Swing is finally upon us, and this past weekend we kicked off the annual summer tradition in the Mile High City from Bandimere Speedway in Denver, Colorado. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, reigning world champion Matt Smith will put together one of the most epic performances we've ever seen on the mountain, qualifying number 1 and resetting the track's elapsed time and mile-per-hour records en route to a second win of the season and 34th of his career. In Top Fuel Eliminator, after a dismal start to the season, Leah Pruitt would turn her fortune around in Denver, as her opponent Sean Langdon will be unable to make the call in the final, handing Pruitt her first win of the season and 10th of her career, and Tony Stewart Racing Nitro's first win in Top Fuel. In the factory hot rods, Matt Hartford, who also had a slow start to the season, would get a little luck on the mountain as well, using a 004 reaction time in the final round against Aaron Stanfield to claim his first win of the season and 5th of his career in Pro Stock. And finally, in Nitro Funny Car, Robert Height's amazing season would continue, as he would defeat Bob Tasca in the final round for the second race in a row and claim his 5th win of the season and 58th of his career and extend his points lead in the process. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a special fast-paced recap of the 2022 Dodge Power Brokers NHRA Mile High Nationals from Bandimere Speedway, brought to you by Competition Plus.
And even though that recap was talking about winners, the big winner of the day in taking away everybody's hearts and feelings for the good day he had is Jack Wyatt. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was great. Had a great weekend. It was, you get these, it throws you a bone once in a while, so that's what keeps you interested, I guess.
Hey, what'd you think about Matt Hartford being a fan there in his Pro Stocker watching you go run?
That was great. That's pretty inspiring. And we've always watched him too. And he got talking about the pizzas and stuff. Of course, I had that pizza sponsorship for the weekend. And
Right.
First time I got that stack of pizzas on Friday night, we went through them and I go, hey, where's my cheese pizza, from the Home Alone deal, And so that was pretty funny. But yeah, we had plenty of pizza. He could have come up there and ate. But a lot of,
Yeah, I think that.
A lot of these racers, we got a lot of attaboys and stuff, and a lot of the team guys, from other race teams stopped by, and it was just really great. It's they all know how hard we try, and we know how hard they try, and it's just drag racing really is a family.
Definitely is. And I mean, he talked about that. But, for you being, I'm going to call you Mr. Upset here for the weekend, doing what you did. How did that feel each round, going up and taking out someone that most people would have said, no, there's no way, or, put you in that category to go to the next round?
Well, we've always just kind of run our own race. We've always been underfunded. Way back when I got started in the 70s, running alcohol funny car, we were always seemed like out-dollared, outgunned, out-part, and everything else. And so I've always had the attitude, just do what we can do with what we have. And I've had fortunately, I've had really great people come along to help me, like George Hoover. He really got me started in nitro racing. Vern Motes and alcohol funny car. All the greats I've been blessed with people that have really helped me over the years. And so when I go up and run, I run my own race. And really on Sunday morning, we made a good lap on Saturday. And on Sunday, I told my guys, let's get ready. I says, all I got to do is not make any mistakes. I know how to win if everything goes my way. And I says, we need to be ready. And sure enough, with a little bit of help, we took the win first round, and it was great.
Right, a 418 at 279 miles per hour to a 491, 210 miles per hour. You're able to pick up the win in round one. And Jack, I was at Nitro Chaos handling my pit reporting duties for the Chaos brand and traveling on the road Sunday. Didn't get to see the national broadcast, but I was able to catch a little bit of the replay. And Brian Loans was speaking as if you're Methuselah out there and you've been around for so long, and you have been around for a very long time. And I love asking this question. I love understanding, how did people get into this sport? So how did you get into it? How did you get hooked, and where did it all go from the beginning?
It's a long story, but I was born and raised on a farm. My oldest brother took me to my first drag race here in my local town, which was a highway, an old part of a highway. They would close off on Sunday afternoons. No timing equipment. They just flagged the cars, and they'd run down a two-lane concrete road, but it had a curb on it. So how we liked, instead of guardrails, they had curbs. But shortly after that, they closed it. And unfortunately, I lost my brother in a railroad accident. And we moved off the farm, still owned the farm, but we moved to town, and I moved next door to a gentleman who had an old Eddie Hill dragster. And I clung to him like crazy, and we'd go to Eddyville Dragway every weekend. My mom would take me up there, and he was a real starter. When on the way to the U.S. Nationals in 1969, there was a 48 Anglia for sale with no motor and transmission. I had one back home that I started, but there was no way I'd ever finish this thing. I didn't know what I was doing. He was busy with his bulldozing business, but he helped as much as he could. And on the way over there, I didn't realize I had part of the money. He bought that car on the way over there, and the guy delivered it a week later. And so he made me work off paying off that car. And so that was my first race car. But when I seen the first 2 Nitro funny cars running at Eddyville, I told him, I said, I'm going to build one of those things. I'm going to run it because I want to make a living at drag racing. And he said, you'll never do it. And kind of played it down. And he actually, at one point when I was building my alcohol funny car, he offered to build me a street rod. He said, I'll build you a street rod and just don't do that drag racing because it's impossible. But anyway, I'm going to shorten the story up. 46 years later, when he took me to the U.S. National 69, 46 years later, I believe it was I called him from the winner's circle at the U.S. Nationals when I was assistant crew chief on Morgan Lucas's national event win there. And I asked him, I said, hey, what year did you bring me over? And he said, I don't remember. What year was it? Because, he's fairly old now. And he said, I have no idea. And I said, you brought me over, I believe it was in 69. And I said, I'm standing here holding the winner's circle now. And by that time, I'd already switched to Nitro. Luckily, like I said, when I switched over in 87, George Hoover really applied myself. He says, you can do this. And I said, okay. And so he started helping me. And of course, with his son, Tom Hoover, and several other ones, they helped me. And that's how the Nitro deal got started. And that's all I ever wanted to do. And so that's why I keep pounding away at it.
Now, to be clear, Jack, you're referring to Eddyville. You mean like Eddyville, Iowa, out there near Oski?
I'm only about 40 miles away from Eddyville Dragway. That's my hometown. Cool. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. I love Eddyville. Been there several times now, whether it's Nitro Chaos or Funny Car Chaos. We're actually going to be there in about 2 weeks for Funny Car Chaos. And cool, man. I didn't know you were out that way. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. I held a track record there for a little while in Nitro Funny Car till they booked in Gary Denson. I mean, he beat me by just a little bit. But anyway, yeah, we haven't been up there for years. But we used to go there on every 4th of July weekend. And get this, we'd run on 4th of July weekend there and then load it up and go to Union Grove, Wisconsin and run a match race. So, yeah, we match raced all over the country down around in here.
Stellar.
So being an Iowa native, I mean, I know from being I live in North Dakota, but being an Iowa native, how did they not sucker you into circle track racing? Because, I mean, that's huge in that area.
That's a good question. And I'm glad you asked that because I got a good story on that one. I'm just right south of Knoxville, and a gentleman who I did all his work on, he owned 3 funeral homes, and he was a sprint car. They went to Knoxville every weekend. He actually offered me, he says, I'll help you buy a sprint car if you'll go do that. And the same deal there, I had another friend, his name was Bob Westfall. And you remember Westmar Engines, he worked for Blue Max at the time, and he kept coming up to me at Topeka or Dallas or whatever. And he goes, Jack, I'll build you 2 motors and you can get some young kid that wants to drive the thing, whose dad wants him to be the next, NASCAR driver or whatever. And he said, go sprint car maker. You really make a lot of money. And I said, I have no desire whatsoever to do that. I like going watching them, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. Nitro funny cars is all I've ever wanted to do.
A man with a plan. You gotta like the plan. You gotta like it. And
I'm not saying it was a good plan.
and speaking of a plan, so you get past round 1 and you are in an interesting situation. Actually, just like what happened to Terry Haddock in Epping last year. He clips Ron Capps, short field. He's just got to advance to the semifinal by having a bye run in round 2. But what was y'all's plan going into round 2? Because I got to see that part on the rerun of the national broadcast, and good hearty burnout. And then y'all do let it idle down the track. So 1, why the burnout? And obviously understand why saving parts, but yeah, you had everybody fooled there for a little bit.
Well, Well, actually, when we knew if we got past first round, we knew we had a bye. But I have a volunteer crew, and most of them had never even worked with each other before, and we were struggling. They were doing a great job, but they were slow, and we were doing everything we could. So we got everything ready to go, and so my plan was to go up there, and I asked the NHRA, I said, "What do I got to do?" They said, "Well, at least do some kind of a burnout to clean the tires off." And so I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to do a burnout, make it look like I'm going to run, just because the fans all pay for this stuff, and they're the ones that want to see what's happening, And so I did a burnout a little longer than I thought I was going to, and it didn't help me at all. So when I came back, actually between rounds, it was such a short turnaround, we wasn't able to adjust the clutch correctly, nor even fire the motor before we went up there. And so everything was pretty hot anyway. Well, when I got down through there, when it came back, the clutch was really hot, and that was a real big mistake. And we couldn't. Then it was a real quick turnaround because what they were trying to get back on schedule and stuff. So the clutch was hot, the motor was hot, the poor old supercharger was way hot because I was spinning it a lot faster, for the altitude and stuff. And so I knew it wasn't going to run great, but I went up there with the intention, if this thing moves at all I got to do is, Bob make a mistake too. May we get into the finals. So that's the way I played it.
And being at that race, I mean, like you said, you wanted to do something for the fans there. Describe what the crowd and what the energy you felt, down in Bandimere. Describe what that was like.
The people are such good racing fans there. And I've been going there since, I don't remember what year. I mean, when John Bandimere came over, he really recognized me. I used to run match races up there, and I run the divisional races back in the alcohol funny car days. And that the fans are so receptive and so great, and they're so appreciative. And it was great to have them come by, and a lot of them came by after we got beat and stuff. It was exciting because they really are great fans in that area. I mean, they don't see it enough. You can almost run 2 races there, but man, that altitude gets to me. But the atmosphere at that altitude and that area is so good, and I've been going up there, like I said, so many years. The track is just people need to go there just because where it's at on the side of a mountain, and you're looking down over everything, and it's just different, man. It is really, really a beautiful place to go, and it's a place you need to race. And this is the best I've run there, and but it's one of those deals where you go there because it's challenging. And that's why I even drag race, because if it wasn't that challenging, I go do something else. I don't know, but it is hard to race up there. And when you do run well, there you go. And I got to go back in my alcohol days. I didn't run I was running okay down in the Midwest, and I went up there and I ran really good. And I go, you know what? That tells me something, that I must have the thing way over center down on sea level. So I came back there, made some changes, and really started running good in the alcohol car.
Now, that's some interesting perspective, going out to the mountain and figuring out elsewhere. That makes sense, though, that, hey, I ran good here and I don't run good anywhere else. I need to change something.
Well, this is all back when we didn't have computers. We just ran off of looking at the parts and the seat of your pants and just trying stuff. That's what was really interesting about drag racing. Back then, we're not so limited now in fuel. We could actually do, hey, let's try this. Or, it used to be so many different sets of different style cylinder heads. I mean, look at Dave Benjamin came out with a 3-valve head that time, just all kinds of unique stuff that some stuff took and some stuff didn't, and I had the opportunity to work for Gene Snow for a while, and we got to try all kinds of stuff. Some of it didn't work very good, and we found out what worked the longest because he was really hard on parts.
Yeah, everything I see watching, Diamond P year in review and national events from that time, it seems like Gene never had the same package at all. It was always changing.
The thing about it is with Gene, he had it in the trailer because I tell you what, if someone ran good with an Inderly fuel pump, we had it on the next run. And then if the next guy run low HE with a Waterman on it, we had a Waterman pump on it. We changed stuff from run to run. It was exciting with that guy.
So for you, I mean, are you doing the whole Western swing, or what is your calendar look like?
Our deal is just strictly by what we can find funding. We have no permanent sponsorship. We've been finding things from race to race. Right now, we have a match race at the Cordova World Series. We're in there with Creasy and Wilkerson and his son, and we're going to probably go to Topeka because it's close to home, and so is St. Louis. If we can get the funding to go to those two, we'll do those as well. I'd like to go back to Dallas. We ran good at Dallas last year, and I'd love to go back to that Stampede of Speed thing. That was he put on a heck of a deal down there. So, you know, I'd like to go to more. I don't know if I should say, but I'm supposed to go over and help work on maybe Larry Dixon's car with a different driver at it at the U.S. Nationals. So, you know, and then I still, like I say, once in a while other teams call me up and want their help, but they want my help, and I go help them, you know, assemble stuff and watch over stuff and work with the crew guys and stuff. So, you know, my door's always open. I've never said no when people call me up. That's how I went to Abu Dhabi with Hot Rod Fuller and on Bob Vandergrest's deal. Just happened to be at the right place, right time. They said, "You got a passport?" And I said, "Yeah." You want to go to Abu Dhabi? And I thought it was a joke because it was off of Garfield. And, you know, just a few days later, Bob texts me and goes, "I need your passport number." And so, you know, I never turn anything down, you know, that if there's an opportunity to enjoy it and it's challenging and you know, I like doing that stuff. And I like giving back too. Like I go down and help Stringer with Clay Milliken's deal to help train crew guys once in a while in the fall and you know, just working with new people and just, you know, just drag racing's it, you know, it's a lifestyle and I run it like a business. You know, when I raced out there, we didn't get to celebrate. My son and I, we tore down, and my son and I, we got to drag the rig back. He's got a job and I got to go back to work too to feed this thing. So it's all about trying to feed the car and keep it going.
So, Sam, and to the viewers out there, if you put everything together, you might have your answer to what Bobby was dropping a little bit earlier in the show. I won't rehash it. Maybe you can scroll back and get the whole idea. But that's some pretty cool news. And, you mentioned the World Series of Drag Racing. That's back on the table. Cordova Dragway got a new lease on life. I think it's going to be having some of its best days ahead of it. Talk about the World Series of Drag Racing and its importance to drag racing as a whole at one of the most historic facilities that there is on the map.
Well, I used to go there. My mom took me over there, and I had my other brother worked for the railroad, and I had a brother-in-law that lived over there, and we go over there and stay, and she'd take me out to the World Series there, and I got Super 8 movies of that. When the top fuelers still smoked the tires with the front end in the air all the way down the racetrack, you know, with Kara Massini's and Gabby Bleeker in the fuel altered and all the greats. And so I got to see kind of the start of it, you know, what it was really like in the 60s. And but that race has been going on forever. And I got my alcohol funny car license at Cordova with Vern Moach signed my license, TV Tommy Ivo. I even seen him here a couple of years ago, and I told him he was the reason why I got my license, and I blame him. And so we had a good joke over that. But I've been going there for years. In fact, I was inducted into the World Series Hall of Fame, and just a great place to run. They put on such a great show with such a variety of cars. If no one's gone to it, they really need to go because they have every kind of unique car there and just put on a heck of a show on Saturdays. It's a great place to go. And they've done so much work to the track. And the unique story on that too, the Crown Heart, Dan that bought the track, his dad was the one that taught me to be a touring alcohol funny car guy. I went to him when I was 19 years old when I got my alcohol funny car license. I got hooked up with him and he showed me how to go to the racetracks, what the racetracks were like, and this and that, and taught me some driving unique techniques. And that's how I got my start in alcohol funny car racing, was following him. And now his son is the owner of Cordova, and I wish him the best and what a hope for I think the great days ahead of it.
Man, I agree. Cordova, go to the drag strip, but if you want to even expand a vacation and include a drag race, that is just a beautiful part of the country, right on the Mississippi. Some great little towns to check out, and it's a cool spot in the racing world for sure.
It really is, and has so much history there. It's like Union Grove, was with when we run Cordova and Union Grove, and of course Eddyville. And those tracks all have so much history to them. I mean, I got to tell you how old I am. I went to Eddyville back before they even had timing lights. They would actually paint on the track how many feet they would spot each racer. And then I remember when I was just a little kid when they brought in the scales. I mean, I didn't know what that was, what they were weighing the cars for back then. But with Cordova, the way it done, when we used to run the World Series, they had tons. I mean, like they had Roland Leon and all the great California funny cars, because that was a stop on the way to Indy. And that they could test their cars there, and plus they made a little bank and then go on over to the U.S. Nationals and run. And back then it had sand pit areas, and you spent most of the time picking the sandburrs out of the parachutes. So we go down to the carpet factories or carpet stores, and we'd look in the dumpster and get rolls of carpet out, turn it upside down, and we'd use that for the pit spots so we could at least park out of the sand.
The untold stories of what used to happen back in the pits is, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Is figuring out a way, overcoming and adapt, like I learned in the military. But no, I mean, it's awesome. And you know, what you're saying is we have all these cars. Do you think the uniqueness of the Western swing and maybe some funding could bring out some of these, you know, smaller teams like yourself? And how do people join and help if they're listening? And that's someone that can, you know, maybe spare $500-600 here or there to help you guys. How do they do that?
Well, you know, we get a lot of people that just email us or send us a text or whatever, Facebook messages, and they just offer. Some people think that by not giving a little bit doesn't go a long ways. It really does. I mean, the pizza deal wasn't a great big deal, but it fed my guys and helped me get out there and stuff. And you know, and you always look at everything. And if they're a small company, you'd be surprised. I've got some deals that the company's gotten bigger and ended up being nice deals. And but it's just a matter of if everybody wants to chip in a little bit, you can be surprised how far it goes. You know, sometimes it just amounts to, you know, nowadays diesel fuel. If you get diesel fuel, someone can help you out on a barrel of nitro and get motel rooms and whatever, it goes a long ways. Or a guy comes in and he goes, I'm really talented, I don't want anything, I just want to come help you, you know, and stuff. And hey, there's always some place you can put them and put them to work, because we just don't have enough people. You know, now it seems like that they're kind of scared to come into the sport because they don't feel that they have the credentials or whatever. That's not really what it takes. If you got the desire and you got the will and you want to be a mechanic, hey, we can put you to, if you want to just be the valve cover nut installer, I'll make you the best valve cover nut installer you've ever seen. So it's just a matter of is we can put everybody to work, and that's what's nice about drag racing, and it's a family sport, so everybody can get in the pits, and there's something for everybody, you know, and anybody can get involved. They really can.
Sam, that's something I could do. I could install nuts on a valve cover.
I'll put you to work. Where was you at? Oh, you was in Mocan, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was in Mocan.
I wouldn't do that. Hey, Jack, if you want your car to stay together, I would not recommend that.
Yeah,
everything might be cross-threaded.
I run a deal like a military camp, so you'd fit right in. Come on.
Oh man, I mean, if you want everything cross-threaded and you guys are completely sealed after Lee gets done, you won't have to worry about it coming apart. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, that line where they said I don't cross bolts very often, but what I do, I run them in as tight as I can get them with an impact. Sometimes you tell them it's between rounds. I go, hey, make sure it's tight. You ain't nothing you can do about it now.
So with the pizza deal, what was the name of the pizza shops? Where are they located? Is like a Colorado brand, or you know what was the deal?
It was Bojo's Pizza, and they're in shoot, I can't remember the name of the town, Tyler. It's on 70, just right over on the other side of the mountain, that mining town.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but the deal was my buddy lives out there, and he knew some people, and he talked to them a little bit, and they're thinking about going national, but they sell that pizza by the pound.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's different. Pizza by the pound.
That's probably smart, because when I think about how much pizza I can eat, I'm like, yeah, sadly it's probably more a pound. You know?
It's really good pizza, and but they're getting ready to go national. In the one store, man, that really bugs me. I'm having a brain fade here. I'm getting old. The where it's at, the place seats 600 people. So it's a big store. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's right on 70. It's where they buried Buffalo Bill. Lookout Mountain. It's right there. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
check it
I
out,
asked because I've got a trip probably through Colorado coming up, so I have to pay a stop and get some pizza.
You got to check it out. I'm not kidding you. It is really, really good pizza, and they make every kind you could ever imagine. Thin crust, thick crust. You name it, they got it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That was a connection on that.
We're getting a report from Brian that it is Idaho Springs.
Idaho Springs. There you go. I knew it was another state. Why would you call a town a different a state name, right? In Colorado, it's Idaho. Right. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Jack, man, look, glad you all had a great Mile High Nationals, and we look forward to seeing you back at the track, however that soon it may be. You mentioned Cordova, wherever else it may be, and keep doing the Nitro thing, man.
That's it, man. It's all about Nitro. So, but I'm glad Matt liked it. That's pretty cool. We had a lot of them guys from other teams, give us an attaboy. We went down and who's the guys with the tequila sponsorship?
Which one? Which one at Denver?
Yeah, which one?
Oh man,
Caruso's.
Yeah,
Caruso.
Okay, Caruso.
They hired my buddy Sammy Eubanks, which is a good. I got a good story with him too. I'm the one that got him involved with this deal. I met him at a match race in Spokane, Washington. We were at a bar called the Moose Lodge or something to do with moose. Anyway, we met him there, and he's playing there, and we got him to come out to the drag races. And long story short, there we started putting him to work on the car. And then I had the Race Girl sponsorship, and we made him hired him to do the trailer to help drag the trailer around for the apparel stuff. And then, there we go. He's ended up, doing the NHRA tour. And of course, he does his own music deal. Awesome guy. And so, anyway, he was playing down there in pit area the other night. So we went down and hung out for just a little bit when we had time.
Yeah, Sammy's pretty cool. And he actually tunes in and watches here occasionally. So he might just hear that shout out here in a moment.
All right. Cool.
Well, Jack, look, thank you for your time this evening. Again, glad to see a independent underdog team have another good outing in the world of NHRA drag racing. The dream is still alive, and it can still happen in the world of drag racing.
I thank you guys for having me. Hopefully I get to talk to you soon again. Maybe we'll do something else spectacular, okay?
Awesome. Take care, Jack.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, Sam, look, let's take one more break, come back, and we'll wrap the show up tonight here for the Competition Plus Power Hour, having Matt Hartford and Jack Wyatt as guests.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Competition Plus Power Hour with myself, along with Slam and Sam. Look, we got like 43 people watching right now on YouTube and only 25 likes. As we're at the end of the show, hit the like button on the way out. Sam, I do got to mention before we do go, Nitro Chaos was a spectacular drag racing event. Randy Meyer.
Take it away, buddy.
With 2 cars. And Megan Meyer does get the win, but don't you think that it was just a fuel dragster show? No, Kevin Kinsley in the War Wagon, the world's fastest fuel altered, he reset the track record at Mocan and actually set top speed and low ET of the meet, but he lost to Megan in the semifinals, effectively round 2, by red lighting. But Megan Meyer makes a return to competitive drag racing, and she wins. It was an all Randy Meyer final in the A field, and Dave Gallegos in his Nitro Clown Motorsports 69 Nostalgia Funny Car, 69 Camaro Nostalgia Funny Car, he was able to pick up the win in the B field. And I want to say this, Sam, the people at Mocan They are a rare and special breed of fan in the world of drag racing. And this dude, they sat through rain and didn't move out of the grandstand to watch one car just stage to get into the next round. They watched junior dragsters. They didn't even move out of the stands when Don Garlits was in the tower being interviewed by the voice of chaos, David Ratton. They just sat there and listened like in an awe. Spectacular fans at Mocan Dragway. So shout out to them for being great fans in the world of drag racing.
So Lee, you want to talk about fans, right? So Jason Logan, you know, the disc jockey or whatever you want to call him down in the NHRA, great guy, great friend of mine. He and the help with Alan Reinhardt and Joe Costella, they had the fans do the complete wave all the way around the track on one side, turn it back on the Pepsi side, and come all the way back down. After they did that, they did the slow-mo wave. The slow-mo wave all the way down the pits and all the way back. Then they did the Nitro wave. Unreal reaction. I mean, Denver came out in droves, man. That place was packed. Like I said, I was riding the bicycle. That's my new transportation when I'm down in the pits, you know, camera gear and bicycle. It's the way to go. But even trying to bob and weave through people to get down, it was amazing. And I mean, you know, you see those fans that really like their Nitro, the guys running from pit to pit. I got to give it to one kid. I don't remember his name, but this kid is sitting on his dad's shoulders. His dad is trying to like move out of the way. And it was so like crazy and packed. It was one of the moments I didn't have my camera with, and I wish I did. My phone was charging actually too. I was running from Austin Prock's pits back to over near Antron Brown's pit. And this kid's on his dad's shoulder, and his dad's trying to move away to get out of the Nitro. And the kid's like, no, he's got this grip on his dad's face. And he's like, no. The kid's crying. I mean, every dad's crying. And it's like, you know what? That kid right there, that kid's hooked for life.
Yes.
Everybody else around, everyone else around him is running. They got the snot, whatever. And he gets done. And I kind of, you know, I'm used to it. So I kind of stood, you know, towards the front where he was, and I just watched him. And he's the one person, you know, that gives that, yeah! And then all these other grown men turn and look, and they're like, yes, they're doing this. But I was like, you know what? That moment, if there wasn't that moment at the racetrack for me this weekend, that was the one that solidified it all. Like, drag racing is still alive. There's a kid, you know, that is still breathing Nitro and wants it. So, I mean, for me, that was the moment.
Awesome. Stellar, man. No, Mocan was great. Nitro Chaos was great. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see a recap of it later on. You can already see some footage with Megan's win and interviews on the Nitro Chaos Facebook page. And then you can also read the competitionplus.com article. But it's great to experience great fan bases, and fan bases around the country are different. It's weird to say that, but there are different vibes. I think that word is overused in our day and time right now, but there are different vibes from track to track and venue to venue.
Oh, definitely is. I do want to answer Scout Malpass's comment here. I think Torrance is sandbagging and plans on winning most of the countdown. I know nothing. I say nothing, and I speak nothing. I plead the fifth.
Well, I don't think anyone has to necessarily know any insider information. You know that the Torrance family, the whole family, has been very vocal that they're not fans of the countdown. And I imagine this year they want to flip it, and they want to use the countdown to their advantage and show either which way we're going to win because we're champions.
Very true. Again, I plead the fifth. Then Scott goes into his picks for this weekend. He says Brittany, Hagan, Erica, and Matt Smith. I'm gonna have to disagree with him there, Lee. I'll go first this time. I'm gonna go the other way. I am going to go Angie Smith. I am going to go Erica Enders because she's hungry, and there will be a video up on Outlaw Performance ENT where I give a bold prediction for the rest of the swing and for the rest of the year. But Erica Enders is going to be my pick there. In Funny Car, we are going to see something change. And it's going to be in the name of J.R. Todd and Alexis DeJoria. They have put in the work, and they are destined for a win right now. Yes, Hagan. Yes, Robert Height, John, the whole crew. I mean, they're all hungry. But those two cars, like I said, when I see teams that are gelling, when I see teams that are coming together, those are the ones that I'm going to put. And when you talk about Top Fuel, I mean, there's three people right now that are, or actually four that are, very, very hungry for a win. And those people, and this is in no particular order: Josh Hart, Antron Brown, Austin Prock, and Justin Ashley.
All right. Okay. I think those are certainly solid. Sonoma is a event where they have seen heat, but they've also had conditions where it has been conducive for spectacular runs. And we have seen that place be one where different winners can certainly pop up. I think last year the winners were Steve Torrance, Robert Height, Aaron Stanfield, and Karen Stouffer. I like that pro stock pick as Aaron Stanfield once again there at Sonoma. And I think you're going to see someone out of the Funny Car ranks answer the bell and stop Robert Height's plans to sweep the swing. And I think it's going to be Ron Capps to do it. And Top Fuel, I expect Top Fuel, we will see something different. We will see someone win this year as not won. I like Sean Langdon. He's driving well, as he usually does, and that team seems to be finding something. They're working something out. They're making rounds. They're going rounds. They're reminding the entire field that Coletta is not dead. And Matt Smith is always out to prove a point. I'm going to go with him once again.
Definitely not bad picks again, like always. But I mean, I just think it's Angie's time. She's super laser focused. I know Matt's got the bike, he's got the horsepower, but I mean that's in the same camp. So I mean, there's no one at this point that we can count out. I mean, there's people that haven't got a win yet this year. There's people that have gotten multiple wins, and everyone's hungry. So Campbell's chicken noodle soup or somebody like that. We're all staying hungry, my friend.
That's right. I mean, even after the round one loss, Steve Torrance just finds himself in fourth in points, 133 points back out of first, effectively a race and a round and some qualifying points, if you will. That's it. And we do come up to what? A reset at Indy. And, Leah Pruitt made a huge move. She's sixth now. And you have Clay Milliken has been slipping and been dropping, though. But the top five.
But Clay had a great performance out there. I mean, Q3 or Q4, he didn't even make a pass. He was up in the tower with Allen and Joe Costella. I mean, that car all weekend up until I think it was right at the semis, I want to say, or right before the semis. I mean, that he was in it. He was in the race. Their car all weekend performed great, but it's anyone's game when you get up on the mountain.
It is anyone's game, and we kind of started the show mentioning this individual because you said he was possibly considering taking an early flight out of Denver. Tony Schumacher sits 12th in points. They have got to figure something out.
No one's expecting anything astronomical from that team this year, though. You know what I mean? It's the first year back. I mean, you're not going to call it his rookie season. There's no way you can call it his rookie season, but it's the first year back. So, I mean, no one's expecting them to come and turn the world upside down. And if you are, why would you do that?
Well, I think the expectation of turning the world upside down and that type of level of performance was not expected. But I think people did not expect him to be sitting 12th in points this far in the season. And in fact, he is the last full timer on the board. The guy in 13th is Doug Foley, who hasn't even ran all of the races. So I definitely think people were expecting a top 10 performance at least, and not the situation that they're in right now.
We all have expectations, Lee, and in the great words of, and we've said it before, the great words of Mike Tyson, you can plan, you can prepare, you can do whatever you want till you get into that ring. You got to plan until you get punched in the face the first time, right? And so in Funny Car and Top Fuel and in NHRA drag racing, everyone's got a plan when we start the season until you smash that loud pedal on that first Sunday.
Anyway, we're looking forward to the loud pedal being smashed that much more. I will be this weekend at the Southeast Gassers event in Lyons, Indiana. And if you are in that part of the country, we would love to see you to see the most accurate drag racing reenactors on the planet in the Southeast Gasser Association in their period correct gassers of the A, B, and C fields, and also Superstock and more at the drag strip there in Lyons, Indiana. And also, Sam, I have my 100th Between the Slicks airing Thursday night. And
congratulations.
Thank you, man. And I think, and I can announce, I can rarely do this, but I do know my guest. And it's someone that, yes, it may not be the biggest name in drag racing, but it's someone that definitely so far this year had a moment that we all kind of thought, oh, he might even die from this. Ken Singleton, the John Force, if you will, of Funny Car Chaos. He will be on my show Thursday night, first live appearance since his accident that he had in Ennis, Texas, where he suffered severe burns. And it's good to report he's doing well now, but we're going to get his story. And I asked them, and they have okayed me. And we even plan on showing in detail what happened in angles that you've never seen from Flo or anyone else of what his accident was like. So join me 8 p.m. Eastern time, Between the Slicks, the 100th episode. We're going to talk with Mr. Ken Singleton and get his story.
Congratulations, man. I think that's going to be a great one. That's one I'll, if I'm able to tune in, I definitely will. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for you, man. I mean, that takes a lot every week, week in and week out, and with you traveling and different things like that. So I congratulate you. I know people have kind of been wondering when my podcast is going to come back up. There's a lot of different things going on and up in the air, but everybody in their life has to take time and just remember the little things, no matter what it is, no matter what you're going through, and no matter what every day brings you. So just remember that. And when we all get back on the right foot and beaten trail, then we take those things, and storm and learn how to deal with them. So my show will be back on and airing and sometime in the future. But for you, Lee, man, that's huge. 100th episode is definitely one, that it's a milestone for you, and I'm excited for you.
Looking forward to it, man. And look, I look forward to being right back here next week, 9 p.m. with whoever we've got from the world of drag racing, and talking with you and with each and every one of you in the comment section. Sam, unless there's anything else, I'm ready to pull the chutes and turn off the shutdown area.
Man, that's why I put an O2 CO2 cylinder in the vehicle, because I don't like to pull the lever. I just want to push the button. And right now I'm pushing it. It's already been activated. And here go the G's, baby. I went from looking good when we started this thing, and now the G's are pulling me the ugliest way. I went from the hottest guy in drag racing to the ugliest guy. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. You guys can check all this stuff out at Competition Plus TV. Thanks to Weldon Pumps for being our premier sponsor, to Bobby Bennett and the rest of the crew. Lee, to you, thank you guys for everything you guys have done. To you guys, the people that watch this show week in, week out, we appreciate you guys. Until next time, you guys keep the pedal to the metal, and God bless.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.